Obviously, a good result. I think there's going to be a lot that we're able to look back and say, okay, we can attack this and do this a little bit better. But overall, our crowd, always phenomenal. I think there were 5 pre-snap penalties on them. That's 8 on the year. That's a great example of Otson's impact. The communication on our staff, I think, has been elite. I've said it since the beginning that strength in numbers. We had a lot of guys play winning football. I think somebody just told me we had 28 guys make tackles in this game, which is huge. The more guys that you can play, the better you're going to be. I really challenge our guys at halftime to, set the standard as we come out. And, last week we had, I think, 4 series on defense, and they ended up scoring twice in the Montana State game. So this to come out of this game and be 8-0 in the second half with series with no scores was big. Ultimately, I thought our guys were physical. You could see that, and that shows up always, when you look at the run game. I thought we were physical in the run game. We gave up a little bit too much there at the end in rushing yards when we knew they were running it. So ultimately, good execution and opportunity for us to build off of.
Guys contributing on defense. I think you had 9 guys score a touchdown. Just the job you're able to do, kind of spreading the wealth that way, and how much that can stress an opponent with that many weapons.
Yeah, it's hard to prepare for when you know that multiple guys can have success, multiple guys can score. And again, the part that always makes me excited is seeing how the people on the sideline that weren't scoring, or the people that were in the game not scoring, are the guys celebrating the hardest, right? And we want to celebrate good football. It's about team. I've preached to our guys all week that our team is the secret sauce, the way that we're connected, and I think that showed up in this game.
Are certain wins more fun than others? Is a blowout where you're dominant from start to finish more fun than a close game, or do they all kind of fit in the same bucket for you?
I don't know. Not really. I get excited when I think we play like to the level that we're capable of playing, and you might not realize it looking at it, but there's still some moments that I certainly went back. Like we had 5 penalties in the first half. In the second half, we had 1, right? So like that's more conducive. Like that's our standard of play, but it's fun to win, right? It's fun to win. Tight games are a little bit more, exhilarating.
You're on the left, Matt.
Second week in a row, hot start offensively, hot start defensively. What can you say about the team's preparation in the week ahead to kind of set that table for you guys?
Yeah, we put a real emphasis on, our openers, our opening script. What plays do we feel really confident about that are going to get us positive yards regardless. And I think our offensive staff has done an unbelievable job game planning those situations, and our players knowing exactly, what to expect. I always feel like, players, if they know what coach is about to call, that's when you have the most success. They're anticipating what's next. And when we're able to, dictate the situation to our guys, let them know this is how it's going to play out, and then it plays out that way, that's a real positive.
Right here on the left, second row down.
What do you think about Dante open up the deep passing game and being able to stretch the defense vertically with some big shots to Decorian and Malik?
Yeah, and we had some of those dialed up last week, and they didn't necessarily become part of what we were trying to do. Some of those we probably tabled, right, because of the situation of the game last week. But we want to be a team that can beat you, by air and by land, and that showed up today. So we have some real deep threats. We have good like those plays. Everybody's going to give credit to the quarterback and the wideout, but the key to that is unbelievable protection. And I think, the very first one, I want to say Jaden Lamar had a great block, in the core, and the offensive line held up, against some guys that are good pass rushers. So it's a big win for us.
Dan, defensively, 8 3-and-outs, 2 takeaways, with the exception of the run defense late or the 1 third-down conversion when you rushed 8. Anything that even sticks in your craw remotely about the defense in a negative way when it's that dominant?
Yeah, I think you said it. The run game, I think we can be better at. We're going to see what we're like blocking and shedding blocks. You're not going to get holding calls at the end of the game in a situation like that, and there probably were a few, but that doesn't change our standard. Ultimately, this is one of our better defensive performances since we've been here. I thought the coaching staff was really dialed. Coach Lapoy and the staff did a good job of knowing what we wanted to be able to prevent. This has been a team that's usually able to create a lot of explosive plays. You didn't necessarily see that today.
Front left.
Coach, I know a lot of was made about the comments between you and Coach Gundy about the spending and stuff like that, and there was a lot about just pissing you off ahead of games. Did you and your team kind of have any extra motivation surrounding any of the stuff that was said earlier this week?
I told our team right before the game that it never requires extra motivation for an opportunity to go out and kick ass, but it never hurts when somebody pours gasoline on the fire. So I felt like these guys wanted the chance to go prove who they are. And I'm sure I got a lot of respect for Coach Gundy, but at his press conference, he's probably saying, "See, I told you so." Right? Like that's probably what his comment is, but that doesn't change the way we have to play to be a winning football team. And we have good players. One of our best. I don't know. Bryce Betcher played good today. He came here for a backpack and a T-shirt. So I'm really proud of those guys on our team that have developed into great players. Again, the guys that watched other people play last year are now playing for us. Like that's what makes this team great.
Back right, Aaron.
You talked a little bit just about that conversation that you had at halftime to have those 2 back-to-back pick sixes. Just how much did that really carry the momentum throughout the second half?
I think we already had the momentum, but it certainly didn't hurt.
Zach, way up here in the front.
For a second straight week, we're talking about the receivers and their ability to block downfield and just how.
Now, didn't you guys write that that was a big concern for y'all? Maybe you didn't, Zach. Right? You didn't. I heard a lot of people saying, "Man, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do at White?" I think we got some good ones.
For a second straight week, though, we're talking about how good it is. What does that say about what Ross Douglas is doing with this group and just the mentality?
Speaks volumes of our players, and it speaks volumes of Ross and his ability to communicate, and Coach Stein and that offensive staff. Like it's a group that works together. It's a team sport, right? And to have that many threats that can be dangerous on the perimeter and block really hard, like that's something I think you'll continue to see from our guys. Like that's gives us a chance to be really good.
Second row middle, brief.
Your running back depth is certainly impressive, starting with Noah Whittington, who had a career-long run today. What makes him unique so far this season?
He's the best teammate. He's an unbelievable teammate, and like I think I said this before, but he was coming off an injury last year, and I don't know that people get to see what we get to see every single day in practice. This guy's got juice. He's never had a bad day. He's tough. He's tough as nails, and guys from Peach County are right, and he embodies what it means to be an Oregon Duck.
Right here in the middle.
What went into choosing to receive the ball when you won the coin toss?
We're good when we score first, right? We got a really good record when we score first, and we felt good about our openers. So,
Right here on the right in the middle.
Coach, you often talk about how these situations in these games just being about you and just being about your team. Considering the word said on the other side leading up to this week, what would you note as the sole emotional driver into this performance today?
Us. It's still about us, right? It's always been about us. It's like our ability to ignore the noise is always the thing that's going to make us go and uphold the standard. Like I said, if you step on the field for us, in our mind, you're a starter, right? You have a standard to uphold. It didn't matter if it was the last drive in the game there's a standard, there's an expectation. And our guys have upheld that so far.
Right aisle, Jack.
What are games like this and like to you for a coach when you're able to get so many young players in and speak to what it does for those guys' development?
I have no idea what time it is, but it seemed really long to me today. Did you guys feel that? Like that's what I felt. Is like I don't know why. Maybe it's because of all the in-betweens, touchdowns and stuff. So that's what it felt like to me today. But I love seeing. I told our guys at halftime I want to see everybody eat. All right, I want to see everybody eat and whatever, and that means eat what's on your plate. Don't worry about what's on somebody else's. Right? Eat what's on your plate. When you get your opportunity, like prove that you deserve to be out there and that you deserve to be a guy that can help this team.
10.2 yards per play, Dan, is, from what I can find, since at least 94, it may be the most ever here, and it might be the most they've ever allowed against a power opponent. What is it like to coach in a game like that when it's that dominant offensively and you score once again with that many drives to open the game?
We'll have to measure that when we play, somebody that measures up well against us. We felt good coming into this game. They weren't playing. I mean, they had their backup quarterback. I think they had some O-linemen down. It just wasn't quite the same team. So we'll see. Again, what that looks like and get the opportunity. But anytime you can rush for what we rush for over 300, right? Anytime you can throw for over 300 and rush for over 300, that's usually a recipe for success, and especially when you protect the ball.
Second row back.
Last week it was Dante's execution of the 2-minute drill. This time it was the 4-minute drill. What did you think of that drive and running out the clock with as little time as possible?
Yeah, I think it was positive. I thought that as it got down there at the end, we got a first down. I thought the clock should have stopped, right, and then wound on the ready for play. But to be able to score, our goal is always to make sure we don't give the opponent the ball back, in what we call the sweet spot, right? That 2 minutes to a minute 20, right? That's when you have the best chance of scoring. So to be able to give the ball back with less than 11 seconds left is a win.
Stay on the left here, Joe.
fake counter reverse that Dier scored his touchdown on was something you pulled out last year against Oregon State, but this time putting Dier at running back or out at receiver, Decorian lined up in the backfield. What does that speak to just Coach Stein's creativity as a play caller?
Yeah, our offensive staff does an unbelievable job each week. Those guys, those aren't really special plays for us. Those are like core plays that we feel like we're going to have a lot of success running. And coach has a great feel for when to call those.
Right here on the left.
Coach, you mentioned like Dante had a good game, and he's it looked like he took another step forward this week. Can you just talk about the progress he's made just from watching last season to his first game starting last week to now?
Yeah, I think he's just maturing really quick. And this guy's has a great understanding of our offense. There's moments in the game where we're about to go out and run a play, and he's saying, "Hey, I feel really comfortable about this." And then when you have that level of trust as a coach and a player, like, "Hey, this is what you want to run. Okay, let's go run it." That's big.
2 more. Aaron in the back.
I know your secondary didn't get tested as much as you maybe thought earlier this week, but what was the experience like for them to get tested on a couple plays to gain that experience as you head into Big Ten play?
Yeah, they have good wideouts outside, and we knew that was a threat. One play that sticks out. I think it was Brandon Finney maybe on the perimeter at a 1-on-1, broke up a pass. Really good position. So like those contested catches. We create a lot of those in Indy crossover when our wideouts are going against our DBs, and that competition in practice allows us to execute in games, and that was a positive for sure.
Last question, James.
Dan, when this series was scheduled in 2018, each of these programs were in very different places. Is this what adapting and going from good to great and being built to last in college football in 2025 looks like versus maybe failing to do so and not adapting quick enough and falling behind?
I can't speak to any other team situation than ours, but I can tell you like that's part of what's separated Oregon for a long time is we're always looking, what's next and how do we have to adjust.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Congrats on the win.
By the way.